Hey guys, this is a very special morning. No, it's not new guitar day, and it's not new amp day. It's new firmware day. That's a first for me, being excited about firmware. But the Universal Audio aux just got some new firmware, and the big deal is that it has vintage 30s, finally! When this thing came out, it was very vintage cab tone centric. It had greenbacks, actually two different greenbacks, and it had a bunch of Fender style cabs, Vox cabs. But now it's taken that leap forward to the modern cabinet tones, the big vintage 30s, the powerful crunchers, the metal guys. So not even metal guys, it's just, vintage 30 is a great speaker, and it's probably the most used speaker out there. Yeah. Before we get going, you have to do the firmware update. Firmware updates are never fun, but this is not too bad. You download a software from Universal Audio site. You do need a USB little thumb drive. So that software is the formatter, and that's how you get the firmware onto here. Plug this into the back of your aux. There's a tiny little button. Hold that down, or this goes in. Hold that down. Power the unit on. Keep holding it down. At some point, this little light will start blinking. You wait 2 minutes. You're all done. I powered cycled. And then you reconnect with the aux software. Not too bad. Now let's take a look at what's inside. Now my aux is connected via Wi-Fi to the app, desktop app. All right, so we go into the cabinets, and there are some new cabinets here. Some of the new additions are a 60s Fender Twin with JBLs, a Marshall 412 with 30-watt greenbacks, a 1960 Marshall TV cab, which is kind of that bigger, taller one, with vintage 30s, and a Mesa Boogie Extra Deep with vintage 30s. So that really is a nice rounding out of, quite honestly, maybe what should have been there in the first place, or at least some of that stuff should have been there in the first place. But better late than never. I'm happy that this stuff is in here. Now let's plug it in. I'm going to go mic up my Bogner Vintage 30 cab. We've got the aux Vintage 30s, and we'll just see where these things landed. What you need to know about the aux, it's not just a simple IR, one IR, and that's your sound. Essentially, you have more than, it does more than an IR, but you have two mics. So it's kind of like blending IRs. You've got two mics and then a room mic. And then you also in the software have EQ, compression, and reverb. So there's a lot going on to help you get to the end result of your sound. Plugged into a Dirty Shirley Friedman Vintage S. And I'm just going to flip through a couple presets so you can get an idea of what's happening there. That is a 1x10, it's really bright, really, really bright. Let's go over to a 1x12. Nice. Cool, and then you go into the deluxes, and they're a lot more scoopy. Let's see if we can find that. I think this is the new Twin here. It's labeled 212 2 Verb. Yeah, it's pretty cool. These are always lovely. I don't know if anyone ever complained about these. All super cool. Let's get into some more of the 412Es, guys. Greenback. Super cool. Greenback punch. So that one, I feel like they were pushing it to try and get it to more of a vintage 30 vibe, because at the time this was the most aggressive one they had. It worked for some things, but it didn't feel as natural as the other. So here's a new 30 watt greenback. I like that. Yeah, I like it. That's really nice. Let's keep going. Vintage 30. Cool, and this is the Mesa. What else we got in here? Super 80. I'm not really sure. That's kind of a different sound, really. I'm not sure about that one. And I think this white 75 was here before. So the new greenback and the new vintage 30 sound awesome. So do those the Fenders, but all of the vintage stuff already sounded amazing. What was missing was some sort of butt kick and oosha oosha. So let me just play a little something, and then I'll flip over to the cab, and we could just take a listen. All right, I tweaked my own preset here. So we've got a 412 UK, like a Marshall vintage 30 cab. This is one of the nice combinations they bring up a lot, is the 414 microphone and the U67. I have very little room happening. So these are large diaphragm condenser mics, often used for vocals or drum overhead, something that's full frequency and very open and clear. They do get used on guitar amps, but the 57 just doesn't sound that awesome. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to go with this, and we'll stick with this. Okay, this is all one SM57 on a Bogner 412 with a vintage 30. The 57 just sounds perfect, really. It's that sound. I like the aux sound, though. The 57 is in a room where the amp's pretty loud. So that's not always feasible. I certainly couldn't do that at home. So I like the aux sound. It's just missing a little bit of sort of mid-range presence and then sort of a little bit of low-mid body. So I'm going to give it a little bit of just like guitar cut body there, and then I'm going to leave that down there, and a little bit in the low-mid body. Let's widen that. There we go. And then this cuts off the super lows, and this will cut off the super highs. Where are you? Oh, you gotta turn it on. There we go. That might be a little much. So cool. Now what we have is these sounds. I might have overdone it. I might have overdid it a bit to get, it's a little crunchy. Too crunchy? I could work with that. That sounds really close to my SM57. This firmware update gets a big thumbs up from me. Honestly, it was needed, and they knocked it out of the park. It puts the aux back in running for top load IR attenuation all-in-one, get your sounds into the box and have them sound amazing unit. So, good deal. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later. See ya.